hiding in the quiet, like a house without a light. Windows closed against the weather, holding shadows through the night. And you stood there in the doorway, like you'd always known my name. Like my broken little pieces never scared you away. I wore silence like a sweater, pulled too tightly to my skin. Every mirror felt unfamiliar. I forgot where I had been. I was learning how to disappear inside crowded rooms and noise, trying not to need affection, trying not to need a voice. But you listened to the spaces between every word I said. You saw warmth beneath the winter, even when I felt half dead. You held me without asking why my heart had learned to run. And somewhere in your patience, I remembered I was someone. Right where you found me, lost inside the cold. You loved the parts of me I didn't know how to hold. Before I learned forgiveness, before I saw my own light, you stayed beside the darkness and called it worth the fight. Right where you found me, empty, scared, undone. You were already loving me before I knew how to love someone. There were nights I couldn't answer when you asked what hurt the most. I just stared into the blue light like a stranger seeing ghosts. But your hands were never restless, never forcing open doors. You just sat beside the silence till it wasn't fear anymore. And the way you said, I'm here now, made the whole room breathe again. Like the world became much softer every time you let me in. You saw beyond the aching, past the damage and the doubt. And somehow your steady heartbeat brought the hidden daylight out. Right where you found me, lost inside the cold. You loved the parts of me I didn't know how to hold. Before I learned forgiveness, before I saw my own light, you stayed beside the darkness and called it worth the fight. Right where you found me, empty, scared, undone. You were already loving me before I knew how to love someone. I never needed perfection, I just wanted you to stay. You touched the fear so gently till it slowly slipped away. And every fragile heartbeat led us closer to the dawn. You were holding on to hope for me before I could hold my own. Right where you found me, that's where healing started growing. In the quiet of your kindness, in the calm of being known. Now the mirrors look much clearer, now the light feels like my own. But it started with your patience when I couldn't stand alone. Right where you found me, you saw who I could be and loved me long before I ever learned to love me. Still hear your voice inside me, like warm rain against the sea. You loved me at the beginning, right where you found me. Still there, stay there in my hands. You left your coffee on the table, half a sentence in the air. Morning light across the curtains, like you never weren't there. I still fold the sleeves you wore here, still move softly through the hall. Like if I make too much noise now, I might lose the last of it all. And your fingerprints still linger on the handle by the door. Tiny ghosts inside the silence I can't wash away anymore. I know time keeps moving forward, like the tide against the shore, but my skin still holds the memory of what we were before. The warmth you left in my hands hasn't faded completely, like the heat inside a candle after the flame leaves quietly. And sometimes in the midnight, when the whole world feels so cold, I press my palms together, trying to hold what I can't hold. The warmth you left in my hands still trembles through my veins, like love became a temperature that never fully changed. Your side of the bed stays colder than the winter near the glass, but I still wake up reaching for you inside the blue-gray past. And every song we used to whisper still hangs beneath my breath, like your voice became the echo that silence never left. I remember how you touched me, careful like a fragile thing, like your hands were telling mine they deserved remembering. Maybe love doesn't disappear, maybe it changes shape somehow. Maybe some hearts keep burning even after goodbye sounds. The warmth you left in my hands hasn't faded completely, like the last light of an evening resting softly on the sea. And sometimes in the darkness, when memories overflow, I hold on to the feeling, even knowing you let go. The warmth you left in my hands still lives beneath my skin, like loving you rewired me from somewhere deep within. I never meant to leave you lonely, I just couldn't stay the same. But your touch became a language, my heart still says your name. Some loves never truly vanish, they become the air we breathe, quiet embers in the bloodstream, hidden underneath. The warmth you left in my hands feels softer now than pain, like something beautiful survived us even after all the rain. And though your shadow's distant and though the nights moved on, there's still a trace of comfort where your fingers once belonged. The warmth you left in my hands will probably never across your tired balcony. I could hear the television low beneath your careful words, like you were scared if silence came, the loneliness would hurt. And we spoke in scattered fragments, tiny truths we couldn't hide, about the weight we carry quietly, the storms we kept inside. There was something in the softness of the pauses in between, like two hearts learning slowly what honesty could mean. We spoke in half-finished dreams, half-finished sentences, trying to explain the ache neither of us could fix. And somewhere between midnight and the blue before the dawn, I stopped feeling like a stranger every time you stayed on. We spoke in tired whispers, like the world might disappear, and somehow broken pieces sounded beautiful from here. You told me about your father, how silence filled the house, how growing up around coldness made tenderness feel loud. I told you I was frightened of needing someone too much, 'cause everybody leaves eventually, no matter how they love. But you didn't try to save me, didn't promise fairy tales. You just stayed inside the darkness long enough to hear me well. And the night became much warmer with every fragile truth, like maybe being understood was healing us a little too. We spoke in half-finished dreams, half-finished memories, holding on to human warmth like something we both need. And somewhere in the quiet, where the sleepless people stay, your voice became a window, letting light back into place. We spoke in slow confessions, barely louder than the rain, and somehow every lonely part didn't feel so alone again. I never knew how much I needed someone listening that way. I never knew a conversation could make the fear decay. Maybe love begins in moments too small for crowded rooms, two souls speaking carefully inside unfinished dreams. We spoke in half-finished dreams till the sunrise touched the sky, till the shadows in our voices started losing all their bite. And though neither one of us knew exactly what this was, there was comfort in the breaking, there was safety in the pause. We spoke in quiet fragments, but somehow every word was true, like the night was slowly building something gentle out of two. Your voice still sounds like midnight, warm against the blue. We spoke in half-finished dreams, and I think they led to you. golden light around your shoulders, soft wind moving through your hair. And something in me quieted, something restless finally slowed. Like every road I wandered had somehow led me home. We spoke like old companions, even on that very night. No awkward distance hanging, no need to hide behind polite.
Some people feel like weather,
they pass and disappear,
but your voice felt like a promise
I'd somehow waited years to hear. Nothing about you felt temporary, nothing about your touch felt small. You felt like a song remembered before I knew the words at all. And every little moment carried something deep and true, like forever had been hiding inside the shape of you. Nothing about you felt passing, nothing about your eyes could fade. You felt like something permanent the instant my heart changed. The way you listen carefully, like my thoughts deserve the space. The way your laughter softened every shadow in the place. You held my shaking stories without trying to repair. You just sat beside the hurting, like love itself was there. And every night that followed only made the feeling grow, like my soul recognized yours long before my mind could know.
Maybe some hearts remember
What time cannot explain.
maybe certain kinds of love
Arrive already staying. Nothing about you felt temporary, nothing about your hands let go. You felt like warmth in winter, like steady light through falling snow. And every passing second only settled deeper in, like my future slowly opened every time you leaned in. Nothing about you felt fragile, nothing about this felt unsure. You felt like something written to outlast every storm.
I felt it too the first time,
Like the air around us changed,
like all the lonely chapters
suddenly rearranged. And maybe love is quiet,
maybe it doesn't need to race.
maybe forever sometimes enters with a calm, familiar face. Nothing about you felt temporary, even now I feel it still. Like my heart found its direction the night your silence touched my reel. And though the world keeps moving fast enough to lose its shape, used to hurt more than this. The quiet feels different now. There was a time the nighttime felt too heavy to survive. Every empty room around me sounded louder than my mind. I kept every window glowing just to imitate a heart, trying to outrun the stillness, trying not to fall apart. And every silence cut like winter, sharp against my fragile skin, like loneliness was something living, breathing slowly from within. But somewhere between the healing and the tears I couldn't hide, the darkness stopped demanding. I surrender every night. When the silence finally softened, I could hear myself again. Not the fear, not all the breaking, just a quiet kind of strength. And the loneliness that haunted every corner of my room turned into a gentle space where my tired soul could bloom. When the silence finally softened, I stopped treating peace like pain and learned an empty moment doesn't always have to ache. Now I sit beside the window, watching the silver evening rain, without needing someone's voice to rescue me from everything. I still miss the warmth of closeness, still reach out sometimes at night, but the absence doesn't wound me like a blade beneath the light. There's a softness in the breathing, in the way the clock now sounds, like my heart no longer trembles every time the world slows down. Maybe healing isn't fireworks, maybe it arrives this way, like slowly finding comfort inside ordinary days. When the silence finally softened, I could finally rest my mind, stop searching every shadow for a reason to survive. And the loneliness that once felt like an ocean without shore became a quiet understanding. I don't fear myself anymore. When the silence finally softened, I began to feel the light, not from someone else beside me, but from somewhere deep inside. You don't have to fill the quiet just to prove your heart still beats. I know now that peace can find me even when I'm incomplete. And maybe all this healing was never loud or grand. Maybe it was learning how to hold my own hand. When the silence finally softened, I stopped running from the dark, found a fragile kind of beauty in the stillness of my heart. And though I still get lonely, like every soul sometimes will, it no longer feels like drowning. It just feels human and real. When the silence finally softened, the whole world became less cold, and I realized healing starts the moment fear loosens its hold. The quiet doesn't scare me now, it wraps around me
tired for so long. I forgot what calm felt like.
I kept moving through the seasons like a suitcase never closed, always halfway out the doorway, never fully letting go. I learned how to hide my shaking under polished words and smiles, built entire worlds from silence just to survive a little while. And every love felt temporary, like a train I couldn't miss. So I held my breath around people, never trusting tenderness. But then you spoke so gently, like you had nowhere to be. And for the first time in forever, my guarded heart could breathe. You became a place my heart could sit down, a quiet room beneath the noise, somewhere safe enough for softness, somewhere I could hear my voice. And all the restless parts inside me slowly loosened in your light, like I'd spent my whole life running till your arms became the night. You became a place my heart could sit down, no pretending anymore, just peace wrapped inside another person, standing softly at my door. You never rushed my healing, never pulled the scars apart. You just stayed there through the echoes till they stopped inside my heart. And the way you held my trembling, like it wasn't hard to do, made me wonder if love's supposed to feel this calm and true.
Now the silence doesn't frighten me
When we're sitting side by side,
because your presence feels like shelter.
not a storm I need to hide from.
Maybe
Safety isn't something we can build all on our own.
maybe
Healing starts the moment someone makes us feel at home. You became a place my heart could sit down after years of standing guard, after every lonely midnight, after carrying the dark. And all the fear I wore like armor started falling piece by piece, like your love was teaching my soul how to finally rest in peace. You became a place my heart could sit down, soft enough to stay a while, like the world stopped spinning wildly every time you made me smile.
you never had to earn the quiet.
You deserved a gentle place
I didn't know how tired I'd been.
till I rested in your grace.
Maybe love is simple.
Maybe safety sounds like this, two hearts learning slowly. They no longer have to resist. You became a place my heart could sit down, where the noise could disappear, where the ache inside my chest didn't follow me in here. Now the future doesn't scare me like it always used to do, because peace stopped feeling distant the moment I met you. You became a place my heart could sit down, and somewhere in your eyes I found the kind of stillness that survives. became the quiet place. My heart finally called home. You never asked me to be louder, you just stayed. There were evenings I went distant, like the ocean pulling back, half inside my own reflection, half lost inside the past. I stopped answering the small things, like conversations fade away. Not because I stopped loving you, I just didn't know what to say. And the silence sat between us like a shadow in the room. I was scared that if you touched it, everything in me would break too soon. But you never tried to force me, never made my quiet wrong. You just stayed there in the stillness till my breathing softened slow. You stayed through the quiet parts when my heart forgot its sound, when the light inside my chest was too weak to shine around. And you loved me through the distance, through the nights I disappeared, like your arms already understood everything I couldn't hear. You stayed through the quiet parts when I had nothing left to give, and somehow your gentle patience taught my tired soul to live.
Some people only love the brightness, the easy laughter open doors. But you sat beside my winter without asking me for more.
You learned the language of my silence, every unfinished fragile phrase. You could hear the fear behind me, even when I looked away.
And little by little, the heavy dark began to ease.
Not because the pain vanished,
but because you stayed with me.
maybe love is not the fireworks, maybe it's the steady light, the person who remains beside you even through the longest nights. You stay through the quiet parts, through the numbness and the doubt, through the spaces where my lonely heart could barely find a way out.
And you held me without pressure,
Without needing me to heal fast, like your love could see the future past the shadows of my past. You stayed through the quiet parts, and slowly I returned, like frozen ground beneath the winter, finally beginning to thaw and burn.
I never needed perfect words,
I only wanted you near,
I thought silence would make you leave.
like everybody else did here. But love became much gentler than either of us knew. Sometimes staying through the silence is the loudest kind of truth. You stayed through the quiet parts till the quiet lost its way, till the fear inside my chest no longer controlled when the heart forgets how to sing. You stay,
even when I disappear
inside myself.
You stay
through the quiet parts. Something changed that evening. Even the sky felt softer. Street lights painted gold reflections on the rain along the road. Summer air moved through the silence, slow and delicate and cold. You were walking close beside me, hands buried in your coat, talking softly about nothing, but I memorized every note. There was music from a cafe, floating gently through the dark, and somehow every passing stranger felt miles away from where we are. I don't know what shifted in me. Maybe it was how you smiled, but the whole world seemed to loosen for a little while. The sky looked kinder that evening, like the stars had softened too, like the night itself grew gentler the moment I looked at you. And every fear I carried lost a little of its weight, as if love arrived quietly without needing to announce its name. The sky looked kinder that evening, blue and silver over us, and somewhere in that fragile moment my guarded heart began to trust. You pointed upward laughing at the clouds beginning to break, tiny rivers of moonlight spilling softly on the lake. And the way your eyes reflected every shimmer in the air made it hard to tell the difference between the sky and what was there. I remember how your shoulder brushed against my trembling hand, like the universe was whispering, you don't have to be afraid again. Maybe some nights stay with us long after they disappear, because something inside them changes everything we thought was here. The sky looked kinder that evening, like forgiveness filled the air, like all the sharpness in the world couldn't quite survive in there. And every lonely hallway inside my chest grew warm, as if your quiet presence was shelter from the storm. The sky looked kinder that evening, soft enough to let me see. Maybe love begins in moments too small for anyone but me.
I noticed how your breathing slowed when you looked into the night.
I noticed how your voice made darkness feel less heavy, less alive.
But maybe nothing dramatic happened.
Maybe the world stayed just the same, but two hearts shifted gently, and nothing after felt unchanged. The sky looked kinder that evening, and somehow it still does now. Every time I think about you, I evening, and so did life. Something changed that evening. Even the sky felt softer. Streetlights painted gold reflections on the rain along the road. Summer air moved through the silence, slow and delicate and cold. You were walking close beside me, hands buried in your coat, talking softly about nothing, but I memorized every note. There was music from a cafe, floating gently through the dark, and somehow every passing stranger felt miles away from where we are. I don't know what shifted in me, maybe it was how you smiled, but the whole world seemed to loosen for a little while. The sky looked kinder that evening, like the stars it softened too, like the night itself grew gentler the moment I looked at you. And every fear I carried lost a little of its weight, as if love arrived quietly without needing to announce its name. The sky looked kinder that evening, blue and silver over us, and somewhere in that fragile moment my guarded heart began to trust. You pointed upward, laughing at the clouds beginning to break, tiny rivers of moonlight spilling softly on the lake, and the way your eyes reflected every shimmer in the air made it hard. Be gentle with me. I'm still learning. I learned early how to hide things, how to smile before the tears, how to carry all the breaking without letting anyone near. I got used to empty spaces, used to sleeping curled alone, built a world around surviving, never calling somewhere home. And every time somebody touched me with intention soft and true, some frightened part inside my chest wouldn't know what to do. Because love once felt like lightning, quick and painful when it came. So your quiet kind of kindness feels unfamiliar in the best way. I'm still learning how to be held without preparing for goodbye. Still learning gentle hands don't always disappear with time. And when you pull me closer, there's a trembling underneath, like my heart is slowly realizing maybe safety exists for me. I'm still learning how to be held without apologizing first, without feeling like affection is something I don't deserve.
Sometimes when you hold me softly, I still tense before I breathe, like my body memorized sorrow long before it learned relief.
And I know you notice moments when my side you never make me smaller for the scars I still protect. You just kiss my shaking shoulders like they're worthy of respect. Maybe healing isn't instant. Maybe trust arrives this slow, like frozen rivers learning how to finally start to flow. I'm still learning how to be held without feeling weak inside. Still learning I can rest now without somewhere left to hide. And every time you stay beside me through the echoes in my head, a lonely part of me grows quieter. A frightened part feels less misled. I'm still learning how to be held, but your patience helps me see love was never meant to hurt the way the world once hurt me. You don't have to earn affection, you already deserve care. I spent years afraid of closeness, like tenderness would disappear. But maybe love is not a battle, maybe it's a place to land. Two trembling hearts discovering how to soften in each other's hands. I'm still learning how to be held, but now the fear is losing ground, because your arms feel less like danger and more like finally being found. And every fragile part inside me that once expected love to end is slowly starting to believe some people really stay instead. I'm still learning how to be held, still learning I can let go. And maybe that's what healing is, not perfection, just learning slow. Be gentle with me, I'm undoing years of fear. Still learning how to be held, and you're teaching me right here. If the world grows heavy again, remind me. There was a winter in my spirit where every color faded thin. I wore exhaustion like a shadow beneath the surface of my skin. I stopped believing mornings could ever feel soft again. Stopped imagining tomorrow without the weight I carried then. And somehow you arrived so quietly, no dramatic entrance, no grand sound, just your calm voice in the doorway while my whole world was breaking down. You never forced the darkness open, never asked me to be strong. You just stayed beside the silence till the silence moved along. So if I ever forget the light, if the fear returns at night, if the world becomes too heavy and I lose myself from sight, I will remember how you held me when my soul was tired and numb, how your love became the sunrise after years without the sun. If I ever forget the light, looking exactly like your face.
You taught me softness wasn't a weakness, taught me rest could still exist, that a trembling heart deserves love too, not just the versions that resist.
And every little act of kindness changed the shape of who I was. Like your patience built a bridge inside me back toward becoming whole enough. Now the mirror feels less distant, now my breathing comes more slow. But every peaceful thing inside me started growing when you showed. Maybe people save each other, not by fixing every scar, but by sitting in the darkness long enough to prove they are. So if I ever forget the light, if the skies turn cold and gray, if old loneliness comes searching for the heart I've tried to save, I will remember your compassion like a fire against the rain. How your quiet way of loving helped me want to live again. If I ever forget the light, I'll hold on to what is true. The first place hope returned to me was always somewhere close to you.
You already carried brightness,
Even when you couldn't tell,
I just needed someone patient,
long enough to know me well.
and maybe love leaves traces,
The time cannot erase,
tiny lights inside the spirit,
guiding us through darker days. So if I ever forget the light, if my heart grows tired once more, I'll remember how your kindness opened every locked door. And though healing keeps unfolding, though life changes like the sea, there will always be a part of you living softly inside me. If I ever forget the light, I know where I'll begin. I'll go back to the moment you taught my soul to breathe again. If the darkness ever finds me, I still know what carries me through. I'll remember the light, and it will lead me back to you. Every time it rains, I still hear you. Rain slid softly down the window, silver rivers in the dark. Streetlights blurred into halos like fading paintings in my heart. The room was filled with midnight blue tones, half-empty coffee by the bed. And somewhere in the quiet weather, your voice returned inside my head. Not loud enough to startle, not distant enough to lose, just a gentle kind of memory, moving slowly through the room. And every drop against the rooftop carried echoes back to me, like the storm remembered something I was trying not to need. I still hear your voice traces of your memory. And when the whole world darkens and the night becomes too deep, your voice arrives like warm as thunder, telling my restless heart to breathe. I still hear your voice inside the rain, floating through the atmosphere, like love became an echo. The weather keeps returning here. There was comfort in your silence, even more than what you said. Like your presence turned the loneliness into somewhere safe instead. I remember late night driving, rain beneath the traffic lights, your hand resting near the window, city reflections in your eyes. And now whenever storms arrive here, the whole sky feels close to you, like the clouds themselves still whisper all the tenderness we knew. Maybe certain kinds of love never really disappear. Maybe they become the small things we continue feeling near. I still hear your voice inside the rain, in every soft and silver sound, like the heavens learned your language and keep speaking it back down. And when old fears surround me like shadows I can't explain, your memory becomes the warmth inside the cold November rain. I still hear your voice inside the rain, even now after all this time, like the storm still holds the shape of your heart next to mine. If the rain still brings you comfort, then I never fully left. Somewhere in the falling water, I still feel you in my chest.
And maybe love survives and echoes
Long after moments disappear,
tiny traces in the atmosphere.
returning year after year. I still hear your voice inside the rain, more gentle now than pain, like every storm became a doorway leading back to you again. And though life keeps moving onward and the seasons slowly change, there's a quiet kind of healing every time I hear the rain. I still hear your voice inside the rain, soft enough to calm the dark, like your love became a weather, living permanently inside my heart. Rain against the window, your voice inside the blue. Every storm still carries a little piece of you. Carried fear like a second scan, until you touch the place it lived. I spent years inside survival, reading danger in every room, keeping exits in my vision, waiting for the worst too soon. Even kindness made me nervous, even Even calm felt temporary, like the world could change its mind the moment I got comfortable or carried. And every heartbeat sounded urgent, every silence felt too loud. I wore exhaustion in my posture, like a permanent storm cloud. But you looked at me so gently, like I didn't have to run. And something buried deep inside me started slowly coming undone. That was where my fear finally broke apart, in the quiet of your arms. Not through thunder, not through force, just through steady human warmth. And all the walls I built from panic started falling piece by piece, like my soul remembered suddenly what it felt like to breathe. That was where my fear finally broke apart, where the shaking lost control and trust arrived so softly. I barely noticed hope.
You never rushed my healing, never tried to fix the scars. You just stayed through every trembling, like love could survive the dark. And one night while rain was falling, you brushed tears from off my face, without asking me for reasons, without needing me explain. Something inside me shattered quietly, not in pain but in release, like the fear that ruled my whole life finally loosened its teeth. Maybe healing isn't sudden, maybe it arrives this slow, like frozen ground beneath the winter, softening beneath the snow. That was where my fear finally broke apart, underneath your patient eyes, where my restless thoughts grew silent for the first time in my life. And all the nights I spent expecting love to vanish in the dark lost their power in the moment you stayed close beside my heart. That was where my fear finally broke apart, not destroyed, just laid to rest, like your love became the first safe place my anxious soul had ever met. You were never hard to carry, you were only carrying pain. I forgot that love could hold me without asking me to change. And maybe trust is not a lightning strike, maybe it's a steady flame, two hearts learning slowly. They don't have to live afraid. That was where my fear finally broke apart, where the darkness lost its name, where I stopped confusing loneliness with what I thought would keep me safe. And now when shadows find me, I don't disappear the same, because somewhere in your presence my whole heart rearranged. That was where my fear finally broke apart, and something beautiful began. Not perfection, not forever, just finally learning I could stand. I can still feel the moment, your hand against my shaking chest, where my fear finally broke apart, and my soul could finally rest. I used to hate the shadows, now they remind me how far I've come.
thought the sadness would permanently stain my soul. Like every broken memory would follow everywhere I'd go. I carried old pain like photographs, folded deep beneath my skin. Every scar a silent language of where my heart had once been. And certain songs could still undo me, certain streets still made me ache. Like the past was standing quietly behind each step I tried to take. But then your love arrived so softly, it changed the way the shadows moved. Not erasing what had hurt me, just teaching me another truth. Even the dark became beautiful after you loved me through it all. The nights that once felt endless now feel gentle when they call. And every wound I carried lost a little of its blame. Like your hands turned all my sorrow into something touched by grace. Even the dark became beautiful, not because it didn't hurt, but because your love sat beside it and made the whole world softer first.
Now I walk through old December without collapsing from the cold, because your warmth still lives inside me, like gold hidden in my bones.
And the tears I used to fear now fall much quieter than before. Like my heart finally understands pain isn't something to wage war for.
You never asked me to forget things, never told me just move on.
You just held me through the echoes till the echoes lost their storm. Maybe healing doesn't rewrite every chapter that we knew. Maybe it just fills the darkness with enough light to see through. Even the dark became beautiful, every lonely midnight blue, because the memory of your kindness now exists inside it too. And all the storms that shape me no longer feel like enemies. They became the roads that led me to the love that rescued me. Even the dark became beautiful, like the moon beside the sea, still carrying traces of sorrow, but glowing gently over me.
I never wanted to erase your past.
Made your heart what it became,
You love the fragile parts of me,
without asking them to change.
and somewhere in that tenderness,
The whole world rearranged, because love can turn old suffering into something warm again. Even the dark became beautiful. Now when I look behind, I don't just see the brokenness, I see how hard I tried.
and I see your steady presence like a candle through the rain.
Teaching every shattered piece of me
It was worthy of love again.
Even the dark became beautiful, because your love helped me Rain moves softly down the window, like time itself slowed down to pass. You sat close beside me quietly, shoulder resting near my own. No pressure in the silence, no need to fill the room. And somehow in the stillness, everything became more clear. Like all the noise I carried couldn't survive while you were here. Your fingers brushed against mine, slow enough to calm the dark. And every quiet second spoke directly to my heart. It was the night we didn't need words, nothing louder than a breath, just the warmth between our shadows, saying everything instead. And all the things I feared before then lost their power in your eyes, 'cause love was sitting next to me without needing to explain why. It was the night we didn't need words, when silence finally felt safe. Like two hearts understood each other beyond what language could ever say. The television hummed softly, blue light dancing on your face, while your hand remained beside me, like it naturally belonged that way. And every glance between us carried more honesty than spoken lines, like the space between our breathing had quietly become divine. I remember how you looked at me without trying to solve my pain, just staying close enough to tell me I never had to hide again. Maybe intimacy begins here, not in promises or noise, but in someone holding silence, like it's sacred to protect. It was the night we didn't need words, no dramatic grand goodbye, no confessions overflowing, just your heartbeat next to mine. And somehow every lonely fracture inside me softened in the dark, because your quiet kind of presence reached the deepest parts of my heart. It was the night we didn't need words, where nothing needed to be proved, just two souls sitting together, feeling safe enough to be true. I could hear your heart relaxing every minute you stayed near. I never knew that silence could feel more intimate than speech here. And maybe love grows strongest, not through perfect things we say, but through moments where two people choose to quietly remain. It was the night we didn't need words, and I still carry it with me now. The way the whole room softened, the way peace settled somehow. And though the world keeps moving loudly, fast enough to blur and fade, there's still a sacred kind of stillness in the memory we made. It was the night we didn't need words, and somehow that became enough, because the deepest forms of healing sometimes arrive through quiet love. Rain against the window, your hand beside my own. The night we didn't need words was the night I stopped feeling me through it. I remember all the evenings when my thoughts ran wild and fast. Every fear became a hurricane, pulling shadows from the past. I would pace across the kitchen, hands trembling against my skin, certain everything was breaking before anything began. But you stood there in the doorway, like the ocean stands to shore, steady in the middle of me when I couldn't be anymore. You never matched the panic, never fed the fear inside. You just spoke my name so softly till the storm began to quiet. You were calm in every storm, every wave and every night. When my whole world lost its balance, you became my steady light. And the way you held my shaking made the darkness feel less loud, like your love was building shelter right beneath the thunder clouds. You were calm in every storm, and I still don't know how. You made peace feel so simple in the middle of breakdowns. Some people disappear slowly when life becomes too hard to hold, but you stayed through every winter without ever turning cold. Even when my silence deepened, even when I pulled away, you stayed patient through the distance, never asking me to change. And little by little, your steadiness reached my soul, like broken things grow stronger when somebody loves them slow. Maybe safety isn't fireworks, maybe trust is something small, like the person who stays gentle when the whole world starts to fall. You were calm in every storm, through the tears and sleepless nights, through the old anxiety that kept fighting for my mind. And every time you touched my shoulders, like you knew exactly where, all the fear inside my body started loosening its grip there. You were calm in every storm, like a lighthouse in the rain, and your love became the quiet that still lives inside my veins. You never had to hide the chaos. I could love you through the dark. I spent years afraid my storms would push away every heart, but some kinds of love stay grounded even when the sky turns gray. Two hearts learning how to hold on without fear of drifting away. You were calm in every storm, and because of you I learned that love doesn't need to rescue. Sometimes it just needs to return to the quiet, to the breathing, to the warmth beneath the fear, to the steady hand beside me saying softly, I am here. You were calm in every storm, storm, and slowly, so was I. Sometimes I still think about her, the girl I used to be. She walked through crowded hallways like she barely took up space, smiling just enough to hide the exhaustion on her face. Always bracing for disaster, even during peaceful days. Like happiness was temporary and love would always slip away. She memorized the sound of leaving, learned to expect goodbye too soon, kept her heart behind locked windows, even underneath the moon. And though I've changed so much since then, sometimes I still feel her there, like a shadow standing quietly inside the mirror stare. There's a part of me that stayed behind in those lonely younger years, still holding on to broken eyes, still trembling underneath the fear.
And I wish I could reach back softly,
Take her tired hand in mine, tell her one day love would find her, one day she would survive. There's a part of me that stayed behind, but I don't hate her anymore, because she carried all the sadness so I could become something more.
she thought silence meant rejection, thought distance meant the end,
Thought every fragile feeling would eventually break again.
she apologized for breathing, for needing warmth, for needing care.
Never realizing gentle love was something she deserved to share.
And now I sit beside the window,
Watching rain against the glass,
feeling tenderness for someone who only knew how to outlast.
maybe healing doesn't erase us, maybe it teaches us to see the hurting versions of ourselves with compassion. Finally, there's a part of me that stayed behind inside old December nights, inside all the empty bedrooms where I cried without a light. And though I cannot change the ending of the chapters filled with pain,
I can't love the girl who lived them.
without asking her to change. There's a part of me that stayed behind, still hidden in the dark,
But now I carry her much gentler
inside my healing heart.
She was never weak for breaking.
She was only tired and alone.
I spent years ashamed of sadness,
Now I see how hard she'd grown,
and maybe every wounded version,
still deserves a place to stay.
not abandoned in the shadows.
But love softly all the way. There's a part of me that stayed behind, but she no longer feels lost.
Because the woman standing here now
Finally understands the cost of surviving without kindness, of carrying fear too long. And now I hold her memory gently, like the first verse of a healing song. There's a part of me that stayed behind, and maybe there always will be. But now when I look back at her, I only feel empathy. To the girl I used to be, you were never hard to love. You just needed someone to finally tell you so. Love you, feel like drowning into you. I used to think affection had to hurt to feel alive, like chaos was the proof that something real had arrived. Every heartbeat felt like panic, every touch a rising tide. I confused intensity with love and fear with being desired. So when you came in quietly, without games or sharp goodbyes, I almost didn't recognize the softness in your eyes. Because you never pulled me under, never made me fight for air. You just stayed beside me gently till my whole heart settled there. I could breathe beside you like the world slowed down at last. No more storms inside my body, no more running from the past. And the silence felt like comfort, not a warning sign to leave. You loved me without pressure, and somehow that healed me. I could breathe beside you without fear beneath my skin, like peace had finally found me and quietly moved in. We spent evenings by the window, listening softly to the rain. No dramatic declarations, no exhausting games to play. Just your hand resting near mine, warmth beneath the amber light, and the strange relief of knowing nothing here would turn to knives. I didn't have to shrink around you, didn't have to guard my heart. You made safety feel so natural. I forgot where fear could start. Maybe love was never meant to leave us trembling all the time. Maybe the truest kind of closeness feels steady, soft and kind. I could breathe beside you like my lungs remembered how. After years of holding tension, after years of shutting down, and every little moment felt gentle enough to trust. Like your love became a shelter built from patience more than rush. I could breathe beside you without needing to pretend that I was stronger than the loneliness I carried way back then. You never had to earn the quiet, you deserved a peaceful love. I spent so long mistaking chaos for the stars above, but love became much softer than either of us knew. beside you, and that changed everything, because calm became romantic and silence learned to sing. And now when life grows heavy, when old fears return at night, I remember how your heartbeat made the whole world feel alright. I could breathe beside you, like my soul had finally found a place where love felt peaceful and didn't need to be loud. Beside you, and for once love felt real. Didn't know if I was running away or finally finding where I belonged. Suitcase resting by the doorway, midnight blue across the room. Street lights flickered through the curtains like memories refusing to move. I had spent so long escaping every place that felt too real. Every time my heart grew rooted, fear would tell me not to feel. The city outside the window looked unfamiliar in the rain, like the world was standing still, waiting for me to choose again. Part of me still heard the echoes of every goodbye before. Part of me was slowly hoping you could become something more. Somewhere between leaving and home, I found your hand reaching for mine. Somewhere between heartbreak and healing, the stars began to realign. And all the roads I wandered lonely started leading somewhere warm, like your love became a harbor in the middle of the storm. Somewhere between leaving and home, my restless soul slowed down, and for the first time in forever, I stopped looking for the exit out. You stood quietly in the kitchen, watching rain against the glass. No dramatic words between us, just the weight of what could last. And the way you look so certain, without trying to hold me tight, made me wonder if belonging could actually feel this light. I was halfway toward departure, half convinced I'd disappear, but your calm voice through the silence made the whole world feel more clear. Maybe home is not a building, maybe it's a person's heart. Maybe healing starts the moment we stop preparing to depart. Somewhere between leaving and home, I felt the fear inside me bend, like every lonely chapter didn't have to be the end. And every scar I carry lost a little of its weight, as if love arrived so softly it rewrote what I believed fate was. Somewhere between leaving and home, I finally stood still long enough to hear my own heart whisper, you deserve this kind of love.
You never never had to keep running. You were always safe with me.
I spent years believing closeness
would eventually leave,
but somewhere in the quiet, between the dark and dawn,
two hearts stopped drifting separately
and slowly became home. Somewhere between leaving and home, the sadness lost its hold, and the frightened part inside me didn't feel so cold, because your love felt steady, not a fire that burns away, but a light beside the doorway, asking gently if I'd stay. Somewhere between leaving and home, I found more than I expected to. Not perfection, not forever promised, just peace, standing next to you. Suitcase still by the doorway, but my heart no longer roams. Somewhere between leaving and home, I found you, and maybe myself. We were both tired of the noise, and somehow we found silence together. You came carrying old winters, I came carrying mine too. Two hearts bruised by different stories, trying to make it through. You had shadows in your posture, I had fear beneath my smile. We both knew what it meant to survive a lonely while. And at first we spoke so carefully, like fragile glass and shaking hands, neither one of us expecting someone else to understand.
but somewhere in the stillness
Between your breathing close to mine, the ache inside us softened, little by little over time. We became the quiet we needed after years of living loud with pain, like two storms finally resting after endless heavy rain.
and every broken part inside us,
Found a place it could belong,
because your heart
stopped feeling dangerous and mine stopped feeling wrong. We became the quiet we needed, not perfect, not untouched, just two wounded souls discovering peace inside each other's love.
There were nights we sat for hours without needing many words,
Only rain against the windows and the comfort of being heard.
you would reach across the silence,
Rest your hand beside my own.
and somehow that tiny gesture made the whole world feel less cold.
Neither one of us could save the other from every memory we knew,
But we
built a softer place to land inside the space between the two. Maybe healing isn't finding someone flawless in the end. Maybe it's finding someone gentle enough to stay and understand. We became the quiet we needed, like moonlight fearless. You just stayed and let me breathe. Maybe peace is not a moment. Maybe it's a person's touch. Two tired hearts learning softly. They don't have to hurt this much. We became the quiet we needed. Now the silence feels alive. Not empty like it used to, but warm enough to survive. And every lonely version of us that once feared love would disappear would hardly recognize the comfort we created together here. We became the quiet we needed, and maybe that's what love can do. Turn two broken kinds of loneliness into something beautiful and true. No more running from the silence, no more drowning in the dark. We became the quiet we needed and called it love. I spent so long searching for healing, only to find it right where you first touched my heart. I remember that first winter, cold rain falling through the town. I was carrying all my sadness like something nailed inside me down. Every street felt unfamiliar, every morning hard to face. Then your voice broke through the silence, soft as light across my pain. Back then I thought love was fleeting, something fragile meant to fade. But you stayed through every shadow till the fear inside me changed. And now looking back I realize the beginning held the truth. Healing wasn't somewhere distant, it was always leading to you. Exactly where the light returned was the place you held my hand, where my lonely heart stopped running long enough to understand that love was never loud or perfect, never trying to control. It was warmth beside the darkness, slowly reaching through my soul. Exactly where the light returned was where your eyes first met mine, and all the broken years behind me started softening with time. Now the rain against the window sounds more peaceful than before, like every storm that once destroyed me doesn't shake me anymore. And the girl who feared tomorrow feels much farther from my skin, because your calm and patient kindness taught my heart to trust again. There were no dramatic miracles, no sudden ending to the pain, just two people sitting quietly while the world rearranged. Maybe healing isn't finding a way to erase every scar. Maybe it's learning someone loved you exactly as you The light returned to mine.